All right, it's time to introduce the panel. So our first panel is someone you might recognize from YouTube. He has nearly 15,000 subscribers. Matt Layton from the Orange Line Condo team. Give him a round of applause. Welcome. I like high fives in the morning, get you pumped up, you know? All right, next up, someone that's taken video marketing to Instagram, running a team that sold over 100 million last year. Give it up for Barack Sky. All right. Come on, give him one. He's got a whole walk. Come on, let him hear it, folks. Let's go. Come on, Barack. How you doing, man? Good to see you. All right, our next panelist is also a big Instagram marketer, best-selling author, billion-dollar agent, real estate developer, and co-founder of HyperFast Agent, Dan Lesniak.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, our last panelist is an avid Facebook marketer and user, the founder of the Carrie Shell team, co-founder of HyperFast Agent, has sold over $4 billion in her real estate career. Give it up for Carrie Shell. All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And last but not least, our moderator from Allied Title, the one and only, Latney Mead.
All right, thank you all for having me here today. The year has started, and how awesome is it to get a free event where you can learn a lot? There's actually a lot of really talented people here, and there's a lot of good information. As moderator, I'm not supposed to give advice, but I'm going to. All right, this is the one thing I've learned in my life is don't just talk about it. All right, all these people up here have done, and so that's the biggest thing. So your new year, let's learn some stuff and make sure you execute on it. All right, so first off, I've got my notes on my phone. Yes, ma'am.
We invite some. Hey guys, you're all crowded in the kitchen, and there's some wonderful chairs up here. I see at least 6. Come on down. Hila, thank you. Come on. You don't want to be uncomfortable back there missing out.
Let's go. Come on up. Come on up. Get in there. Oh, thank you, buddy. I can't tell you that. Can't tell you that. Blue light is very dangerous. Blue light is very dangerous. All right. On the glasses comment, first time I've ever worn glasses. Cannot confirm or deny if they're prescription. But blue light is very dangerous, so be careful out there. All right, so thank you so much for having us. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to just open it up and let people jump in here. A couple things. In terms of like people's like to follow these people, should they just say where to follow them? Can we start off with that so people can start following everyone on Instagram or Facebook? Does that work? Where's the best place, Carrie?
I'm old. I love Facebook. So anyone who loves Facebook, come follow me on Facebook. But of course, I'm working on my Instagram skills. If you want to learn about Instagram, I think there's some better people to follow.
Primarily MySpace is where I'm posting these days. So I'm just kidding. I'm primarily on Instagram, but I dabble in all platforms, including TikTok. There is, by the way, a list of everybody up here's like handles and how to follow us and all that. So make sure you look in the packet for that information as well.
I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, we post all of our video content, which is just my name, Barack Sky, and it'll pop right up. And also we post different content on our team Instagram profile, which is at the Sky Group, but _Sky_group.
I am on Instagram and YouTube most often at the Matt Layton.
All right, Matt, I'm going to start with you and then we can pass it down. So which social media platform have you had the biggest success in generating business from in the past? And where do you see it going in the future?
Absolutely. So 100% YouTube. And usually when I say that, people are surprised. They're like, wow, you actually get clients from YouTube. YouTube is Google, but with videos. So when I post something on YouTube, people often search in Google and that's how they find it. So when you're surprised that I get business from YouTube, basically what you're saying is you're surprised that I get business from the second most popular website in the world, YouTube. So it's a fantastic place. And there's, I love posting on Instagram. I love posting on Facebook. What I found is YouTube is evergreen content. So I can do an Instagram live that'll be up there for 24 hours. I can do an Instagram post, but when I do a Facebook or when I do a YouTube video, people are finding that tomorrow, they're finding it a year from now, they're finding it 5 years from now. So in terms of where I see it going in the future, I've had tremendous amount of success with YouTube, and in the future, it's always going to be there no matter what platform comes up. So I think YouTube is really the biggest for me.
I'm gonna follow up on that. So I've met you before, and you were telling me like, "Hey, I don't really care how long my videos are as long as the content's good." Something I did a couple weeks ago, I've started stalking you on social media, and I sat in my office and actually listened to a 15-minute video. I've never done that before, but it was really good. I think I saw the guy that was in it back there too. Point is, talk about that. Like a lot of people think it's got to be 30 seconds and you're done. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think it just goes back to you want the content to fit the story. So if you're doing a real estate vlog, a day in the life of a real estate agent, which by the way, everyone in this room should do, because you'd be surprised how many people actually want to know what we do on a day-to-day basis. Well, a day in the life, that video should be 15 minutes long. But if you're talking about the 3 tips for a good home inspection, man, if that video is 30 minutes long, I'm watching that right before I go to sleep, because that'll be the most boring video ever. So in terms of how long your video should be, I like to think about if someone's on their lunch break. If someone's on their lunch break, sometimes they only have a minute and they're eating lunch at their desk and they can only handle so much content. Other times they have like 15 minutes to kind of mess around. Other times they have like an hour and a half, and I'm jealous of them, and they really want to watch long form content. A lot of big YouTubers at the end of the year, what they did was they posted their biggest videos from 2019 all in one video. So the video length is 2 hours long, and you're thinking, wow, who would ever watch that? And you look in the comments, and the first comment's like, wow, I would never watch a video 2 hours long. 2 hours later, I'm still here, LOL. It's like you'd be surprised about how many people actually want to consume your content. And then, of course, the longer someone is watching your content, the better for the algorithm.
I love it. Well, let's, Barack, tell us about kind of which platform you guys use and where do you see it going?
So we mainly use Instagram and Facebook. We do post our content on YouTube, but I want to learn more about YouTube, so maybe I can talk offline. But like we're now starting to do videos over a minute long, and it's hard you can't boost content on Instagram if it's over 1 minute. So, but we post on Instagram. That's where most of our content goes first, and we do like raw stuff that we film on site and are filming with our phones. And then we also have a videographer and producer that would do like really, really high production teen commercials. That's exactly what they are. They're like commercials that you make for TV. We're making them for Instagram and Facebook. And for us, that's been really helpful in brand awareness. And it leads to business just like a magazine ad would, or just like a sign in a yard or a billboard.
If you do not follow the Sky Group, you need to. If you haven't seen their Halloween movie, it's unbelievable. I mean, it looks like it's actually a real movie. Highly recommended. They did an Office remake that was hilarious. And I will say this. A lot of times people are like, what is my ROI on that? And people need to get away from just like, I'm spending this and this is exactly what it gets. Brand awareness does work. And when you're consistently doing it, people will come up like, hey, that video was amazing. Let me talk more to you. I mean, it actually does come through. It's just more of a long play. So love your commercials. They're unbelievable.
Thank you.
Dan, give us a rundown here.
I kind of dabble in all of them, and I think just the last 2 answers really kind of make awareness about this concept of the time of it. So Instagram has been my biggest focus over the last year, but it tends to be shorter content. And there's this great chart, if you guys have never seen, where it shows the life of a social media post. And like a tweet is like 7 minutes. A Facebook post is a couple hours. Instagram post is less than 24 hours. LinkedIn is maybe a day. YouTube and long form blog content though is like years. So if you think about your overall strategy, the tweets, the Instagram, Facebook, that's your conversation starter. how to get the person talking to you. YouTube and longer form blogs are, how do we actually go out and have dinner or get you to come to my living room or, whatever your intentions are. But Carrie loves it when I make those analogies. So my main focus though the last year or so has been on Instagram. I am starting to dabble in TikTok because I think it's where Instagram was 5-6 years ago, and it's just interesting. I don't know how to use it yet really effectively, but it is kind of crazy. Like a year ago, we posted a video. Oh, she's in the back right there, actually. Yeah, of Christy in our office mixing a Bloody Mary. Yeah, mixing a Bloody Mary. And that's the most viewed video we've ever put out on any platform. 900,000 views organically, and
The margarita the following week was close though.
yeah, and I had like I don't even have 500 followers on that platform, so it's just interesting the reach that things like that can deliver. So my advice would be to dabble in all of them, but kind of master one, and that's I think the pattern you're noticing up here is people are playing with all of them, but there seems to be one that they gravitate towards.
Now, what about podcast? Does that fall into blogs, or where does podcast fall into?
Yeah, I think that the podcast is going to be more of your longer form. Like you put a podcast out there, it's going to be more evergreen. It's basically an audio version of YouTube without the same kind of search engine benefits, but you are getting on like Apple and some pretty heavy big platforms, but that's going to be a lot more evergreen. So I would and then we can get into this later, but just the strategy of making longer form content in written, audio and video. So that's blogs, podcasts, and YouTube, and then using the other platforms to chop it up and make micro content.
Get us going.
So real quick, how many of you guys use Facebook really regularly? Look around. Okay. How many of you guys use Instagram really regularly? Look around. That's more than I was expecting. I think some of you guys are using it like once and you're like, it's me, I'm good, I'm in. Watch this. How many of you use YouTube as an agent to promote yourself regularly? Raise your hand. Okay, so look around. Do you guys know who Billie Jean is? Love Billie Jean. If you don't, you should definitely look him up. So when I spent some time with Billie, one of the things that I learned is that trying to get where the opportunity is before everyone else gets there makes sense. So when I hear Dan talking about TikTok, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of like 12-year-old girls on there. Is this really where we're going? But that's what we were all saying about Instagram.
We'll turn 20
right?
and buy a house someday.
Fact. I'm glad Moselle thought it was funny. So for me, when I got involved in Facebook, one of the things that I did to really grow my presence on Facebook and to generate business, because some of you are like, I'm still trying to connect this with money. Am I right? I started doing interviews with people in the community on Facebook Live. So I would just grab somebody, a divorce attorney, somebody who specializes in reverse mortgages. Some of your eyes got really big, by the way. You're like, oh, divorce attorney, why would you do that? Ultimately, I was trying to help provide value for the people who are in a situation, and their situation would make them an ideal client for me. So I think with social media, often the mistake that people make is they're only doing it for brand awareness, and they're not trying to reach out and grab a client. I'm always trying to reach out and grab a client and do brand awareness at the same time. And I'm really excited about YouTube. I'm not quite there with TikTok yet. I'll let him forge the path there, but I think YouTube is amazing. And Matt, I stalk you all the time, and I'll be like, how is he beating me with whatever term? And then I'll watch your video and I'm like, oh, it's good. It's really good. So props.
That's awesome. All right, so the people that want to make sure they're making money on their ROI, let's talk a little bit about what's the most effective way to generate actual leads on the seller side and buyer side. So get us started, Carrie.
So for us, I think it's important that you have feeder information and ads Like paid ads is the fastest way to generate leads. How many of you guys are paying for ads right now on a social media platform? Okay, quite a few. Nice job, guys. So the key for us is taking those leads and putting them into the right funnel so we get their information and we get in touch with them and making it easy. So I'm going to give you guys a really simple tip that I learned. I used to say, DM me or contact me or give me a call. And that was too open-ended. So if you don't have a funnel, which I'll let Dan talk more about that because he's better at that side of what we're doing, saying if you're talking about a listing that's coming up, say DM me Highland for more information, the street name. They're more likely to take action on that because they don't have to think about what to say. You want to create the path of least resistance for getting in conversation with a lead, right? A lot of you follow up with leads on the phone or via text, and DM is like that, but you have to get someone into your DM in order to take the conversation offline and get in front of them and sell them a home. Make sense? Is that helpful?
So I think it's important to make two distinctions because I think there's a lot of great content up here being shared, and there's really two ways I see on social media to get in front of people. One is what I would call like disruptive or interruptive, and that's more going to be what you do on Facebook and Instagram. Like people aren't going on Facebook and Instagram to shop for homes, so you're disrupting them when you advertise there. Like, you know, they want to look at their grandkids or complain about politics or connect with some friends, right? And then now you're shoving a home in front of them. So I think on those platforms, it's got to be designed to be short, get attention, and I think like on Instagram, stories are one of the best places to be because it's just very, very cheap. It's like under $10 CPMs sometimes, or even cheaper. When they go to the platforms that, like, you know, Matt is really great at using, YouTube, that's more intent based. Like that's plugging into Google. Like if people type in like, what's it like to be a real estate agent, or what's the biggest home in Arlington right now for sale, and you know, he pops up on Google results with his YouTube video. Well, there's a good chance that person wants to know about a big home in Arlington, right? Like they intentionally went there. So I think you have to think of in terms of what's the best strategy for disruptive marketing and what's the best strategy for intent-based marketing.
So for us, with our video content that we've been boosting out, we're trying to create content that's interesting, and we tie it to real estate. Like at the end, if we tie it at all to real estate, and our whole goal when we brainstorm with our crew is to create content that's going to stop you from scrolling. Because I know when I'm scrolling through Instagram, like it's very rare, unless it's like a friend of mine, that I'm stopping to look at whatever the hell is in front of my face. So we make the content like when Friends had their anniversary, we literally remade the opening scene from the Friends TV show. We took a permit out and filmed in Reston Town Center at the fountain. We bought the same couch from Amazon. We did it all. Had the lamps. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Reston Town Center. Yeah, we think that the Cleveland Browns did, but they probably did it first. So content like that, and like obviously like the tagline, you can tie to real estate easily, and then we'll tie it all in with our copy that we write for the post if someone wants to read further, which they usually do because our content's unique and interesting. So that's really our goal, is to make it interesting first and then real estate second. And that just, you know, top of mind. They keep seeing your stuff like, oh yeah, they're real estate agents. We should call them.
Yeah, going off of what all these fine individuals just said, I think the biggest thing is brand awareness. I'm a very soft seller on social media. This isn't something like, here are the top 3 reasons I should be a real estate agent. It's providing value. So whenever you're creating a piece of content, think about if you're creating it for yourself because you look good, because you're standing in the middle of the street looking off into the distance and you have a nice suit on, or are you thinking of, which I've done before, did not get good engagement, I wonder why, or are you creating something of value that you think your audience can take from and use in their own home buying journeys? So who here has ever taken an expired listing and then listed that and then sold it? 4 of you? No, okay. 5 and 6. Okay, so recently I took an expired listing, sold it, and then just did a property walkthrough video telling a story. So on social media, the power of storytelling is amazing. And it was a blurry video because my brother was the videographer. The audio's coming in and out. It's not a Ryan Serhant like professional vlog. It's just me telling a relatable story about how a property was overpriced, and we came in and staged it and then took professional photos and did everything that you're supposed to do and then sold it. And then I just boosted that to everyone in Arlington, and 20,000 people saw it. And a year and a half later, not a day later, not a week later, a year and a half later, someone called from that video. So I think Carrie and Dan do an amazing job with funnels and signups and leads on social media. That's something I struggle with because there's direct follow-ups. Hey, join this, download your free PDF. I'm not as good at that. What I like to do is have brand awareness. So someone sees me on Instagram, then they see me on YouTube, and then they see me at the open house. And I think brand awareness on social media is crucial.
Yeah, on that note about the funnels, is this working? Yeah. Dan, can you talk a little bit about the funnels? Like, what does a funnel mean? What does it look like? How do you convert it? Give us an example.
Sure. So the funnel is basically this idea of grab all leads, right? Funnel them into your system, and then sort them out later on what they want, and follow up with them, right? So it typically starts with some type of lead magnet, and for us, it's offering something of value, like they can download a PDF on how to sell their home when it didn't sell the first time, or how to sell your home when you need to buy your next one, or 10 tips for first-time home buyers, so different things like that. They're gonna, in order to download that, they've got to provide me with an email, right? That's like step 1 typically. Step 2 is, hey, if you want to book an appointment to talk with someone, click right here, and it links up to a program. We use Calendly. There's also things like Schedule Once, and that's going to actually map to different agents' schedules, and they can instantly book an appointment. If they don't take that offer, that's okay. We still have their email, so now they're going to be getting email marketing from us, and that's typically the cycle for buyer and seller leads for us. If they provide a phone number to any of these steps, we're going to have people calling them. So if you're paying, especially if you're paying for leads or paying for advertising, like, you need to have a follow-up system in place and automate it. And the funnel does that a lot better than most people's websites. So a website, if you think about it, someone lands on a website, it's typically like a maze because there's menu bars, they've got 100 different things to click on it. When they land on my funnel, it's a specific landing page. They cannot get to our website, our main website, from that landing page. And I'm just going to give them 2 things on that landing page. I'm going to give them information I want them to consume about the offer that I'm making, and then I'm going to give them one action they can take. There's going to be one button or link that they can click on to give me their data, basically. So that's how it all starts.
Awesome. Now, people here, and I was going to get into this later, but if someone wants to learn more, you guys offer coaching and training also. We can talk about that later if you want, but I will say this might be overwhelming for some people, like, where do I start? And one thing that's cool about them is they're pretty collaborative, and they're willing to work with other people that might not work for them or whatever. And so I think we'll get into that later when you guys can talk about it. On that note, though, so people here that know nothing about social media, where the hell do I start? So what would you recommend to people here that just have no idea what to do, where to start? Give us some tips on what you'd recommend.
Start with just your personal life, clean it up a little bit if it's like a club every night, and
Depends on your target audience.
Yeah. Don't delete all that stuff, but moderation. You want to show that you're human and you're not boring, but make it really personal. Show your hobbies. Show how someone can relate to you, right? Like, you can't have everybody as a client, but you want people that'll be your clients that can relate to you because they're probably going to use you. and they'll relate to you on a hobby, interests, things like that. So make sure you're showing your interests and your hobbies constantly more than you're showing real estate, right? You want to just keep reminders out there that, oh yeah, this person's a realtor. That's right. I should definitely reach out to them when I'm ready. Or just, we rarely put our listings on our social media. If we do, we mainly put that on our team Instagram page, not our personal profiles. Our personal stuff is more about like our team culture and, value add things that we're like talking to the camera, like what a buyer agency is, or why you should have a buyer agent, or how to pick a lender, the process. Those are like as boring as it gets, but we make it high production, so it like, it's crisp and clean, and you're not gonna just like stop watching after like 2 seconds. So
Go ahead.
Yeah, going off of what Barack said, I think people care about your personal life like more than you think. So don't post pictures of salads, but turn the camera around, during lunch and talk about what's going on in your day. I've met multiple people today, like Barack, like PJ, who I've never met before, but I follow them both on Instagram, and I immediately know what their passions and what their hobbies are. Not in a creepy way, but in like an I'm interested in your life because you're opening up, and I think this is really cool that you love fishing or you love really nice cars that I can't afford. So I think being extremely personal on social media is the key here.
So I agree that being personal is really important, like having a life with your kids if you're a mom, or if you are going out to the clubs, like you're probably looking to work with first-time home buyers. So maybe you talk about like the top 5 clubs and why you like them and why your friends like them. Like, I think that's great. I think what's important, and everyone's saying it, then like bring the real estate agent side into it. I want to give you guys 2 strategies to do that without being a salesperson that's pushy, okay? So one strategy, take a story about a problem you solved for a client and talk about it. People love, that's why, how many of you guys have watched HGTV? Like, they love real estate stories. So if you talk about a problem that your client had and then how you uniquely solved it, it's an interesting story, and it telegraphs to your SOI that you can be trusted. And if they know anybody who's facing a similar challenge, that you're there to help. So that's how you position it. Does that make sense? The second is sharing vulnerability. So when you only talk, like you guys, if anyone follows me, you know that I'm really open. Like sometimes I overshare. I think that's accurate if anyone saw my post from New Year's Eve. So a few people are laughing because you did, right? People are like, what's that? Anyway, not going to get into that today, but if you are honest when you're facing some sort of struggle or some sort of challenge and you're vulnerable and open about it, people cheer for you, right? If you're always talking about how perfect your life is, it's just human nature, and it's sad that it's this way, but they just want to knock you down a notch. When you talk about like being frazzled and what's really going on, all of a sudden you're human and people just like you more. Does that make sense? So if you combine the success stories and the problems you've solved with the human, all of a sudden you have a ton of people lining up that want to do business with you.
Yeah, great. Business versus personal. Should you have both? Does it matter? Give us a little overview of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you should have both.
both.
Yeah, both. I don't care about your open house. I care more about your dog than I do about your open house.
I think the ratio, I'm loud, I'm just going to talk. The ratio that I would recommend is about 3/4, maybe even more personal. And so that means that you cannot only post when you have something to say professionally. And I believe you could make the open house interesting if you talked about the couple of hot spots in the neighborhood that are close by and you gave some color to the open house instead of what most people do, which is like, hey, I'm here at my open house without any story or without any color to it.
So since you're talking about personal and business, if like you don't have a business Instagram or Facebook, which if you're starting out, most people creating a business profile through your own personal account or starting your own like I know each one of you have your own business account, but let's say you don't, but you have a big base of followers on your personal account. Now, do you start posting business stuff on there, or do you keep things separate? You know, what would you recommend to people who are starting out and don't really know what to do?
Yeah, I would start the separate account and use your following that you have already to share on the stories. I wouldn't cannibalize your personal and just start going all business there, because that's not why people are following you, and then they're going to get pissed off that you're just posting listings. I think Barack and his team do a really good job of this. Of on his personal page is more about his team and who they are, and those cool videos, and then on his business page are his actual listings and the builder video series and things like that.
I think I agree with you. The only thing I would say is you only have so much capacity, and so be honest with yourselves. If you're not going to be able to keep up 2 accounts, don't do it. Just focus on the ratio that I just discussed first, because you can present the business side in a personal way. I don't think you should be shoving your listings down people's throat on your personal Instagram, but I think you can do it in a cool way. And so then you wouldn't have to have 2 until you're ready. And if you're a solo agent, I don't necessarily think you need to. I think that you could present it different. Like, depending on how many listings you're doing. If you're doing 100 listings and you're going to be needing to showcase 100 listings, that's going to be too many to do. But if you're doing 25 transactions and 10 of those are listings spread throughout the year, you can do what you need to accomplish with one account and have it be more meaningful, in my opinion, than trying to divide your efforts.
We're going to also open up to more questions here in a bit. So one thing I've noticed just with business is consistency, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So I've heard agents be like, oh, I bought a Zillow lead and it didn't work, a lead. Or, hey, I did a Facebook ad and it didn't work. I loved your story about a year and a half later. Someone watched your video and saw it. I mean, how important is consistency? Are we talking about once every 3 days? Are we talking about every day? Give us a little kind of thoughts on consistency, how often you're posting and utilizing it.
Yeah, I'll start out here, and I would say don't even start video marketing unless you're going to be a real estate agent for the next 5 years, because everything that I've done in 2014, 15, and 16 are working up for this year, next year, and the year after. And I've gone to social media seminars where I've sat in your seat, and the people up here are saying you need to post on your story 5 times a day and have 3 posts per week and post one. That's just way too much if you're just starting out. I think what you should do is follow top accounts in your sphere that are doing things that you want to do. Slowly learn the platform and slowly learn over time how to use it, and not just post a random picture of a house because someone with a microphone told you that you needed to post 3 times per week.
Yeah.
All right. What other questions you guys have? Yes.
Hi, I'm Rose Buckley. I'm a home inspector, actually, and I serve Maryland, Virginia, and DC, and I've been on YouTube, I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. I wanted to know what you guys use as far, like I use Filmora and I edit my own videos for YouTube, and I use Canva a lot for my Facebook page and things. What are your favorite apps and things to use? And do you edit your own videos?
All Dan.
My favorite apps to use are Christian and Kelsey. Because I don't have to do much. But when I want to make something like really, really quick on my iPhone, I use Canva and I use InShot. InShot is really, really, really cool for video and for pictures. Like you can do both. It's really, really quick. And I think the main app the main program they use is Adobe Premiere. That might be over some people, but I have used iMovie Maker before. I know usually photographers laugh when you say that, but InShot I think is like the quickest thing just to use on your phone if you're doing it yourself.
Going off of that, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and I tell people, if it looks like I edited the video, like I probably was the one editing the video. Like you're gonna know when my boy Kurt in the back is editing the video. It's just going to be a lot better. But for most of you in here, we're going to be doing talking head videos where you don't need, 4K transition packs and LUTs and crazy things like that. You can get away with iMovie. You can get away with editing on your phone. I use InShot a lot. I love it. And then for photos, I love the app Lightroom. You might have to pay for it. It's like $5 a month. No, it's free? They have a free version. I stand corrected. So Lightroom, InShot, iMovie, Adobe Premiere Pro.
Okay, this is one of my pet peeves is when someone on stage talks about something they're going to do and they haven't done it yet like they've done it. So, full disclosure, I am just starting to do this. But because Kelsey and Christian are super busy, I'm going to do a video series next week, which I'm happy to share with you guys, and I'm recording it in Zoom. So the reason I'm recording it in Zoom is so I can share my screen and share photos and share a PowerPoint and share all of these things. And I have a couple concepts that I'm doing. I think it's a really easy way for you as an agent to get away from the talking head video and make it more interesting and provide value. So if you, I don't know, I'll share them on social media. I'll share them on Facebook for sure. But they'll be on YouTube. So if you guys want to check those out, it's a good way. It's free. Zoom is free. Zoom.
I mean, when?
Well, I'm recording them next week, so I would count on the following week that I'll put some of them out. I have some concepts in my mind of how I want to do it that all of you could use and make it super simple and make it your own. And it's the idea of something that would add a lot of value to your SOI, your sphere of influence anyway, so you could leverage it on social.
Well, who else? Yep.
Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Ed Shudell, and I follow all of you on social media. I think you're A+. Haven't heard you mention LinkedIn. If so, do you use it and why not?
Well, that was a really good question. I actually really like LinkedIn. I feel like it's an opportunity to connect with high-level business people, and if used correctly, it can be a real asset. One of the things that I like to do if I get a referral or if I know that I want to go after a corporate account or something like that is research the connections. Even we had a client who had an issue last week, and I immediately looked at our connections because I knew if I went deeper in the relationship, it would be easier to get them to solve it. So I like LinkedIn. I post a lot of articles on LinkedIn. We did a series of, Dan and I both, of articles for Success, Entrepreneur Magazine, and Forbes. And we put all of that on there, and it enabled us to connect with other entrepreneurs. So like the other day, we were on a date night, and Dan Locke shared an article that we were in together on LinkedIn, and I'm like, do you guys know who Dan Locke is? He is also hilarious. I'm not just saying this, you need to look him up. Some of his videos are just ridiculous. His story is pretty cool. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, LinkedIn's ridiculous. Like, I can't believe I'm connected to Dan Locke, and that just happened. Right. You guys want to talk about how you leverage it?
Yeah, LinkedIn is it's funny that it didn't come up till now, but it is often the overlooked platform, and I'm definitely on there a lot. And the two big benefits I think it has is the length that a post lasts there is longer than Facebook and Instagram, and the organic reach is much higher. So like on Instagram and Facebook did this to business accounts like a few years ago. I think they probably did to Instagram like last year, that they pretty much ratcheted down the organic reach. So when you post, only a couple % of the people following you actually see it. On LinkedIn, that number is much higher. LinkedIn is where Facebook was 5 years ago, where Instagram maybe was a year or so ago. So I definitely think you should be utilizing LinkedIn. It's also fairly easy to grow compared to some of the other platforms as well.
I'm not using it at all yet. I'm on there, but just the time that I need to dedicate to things. I actually was on there yesterday, like randomly, and I had like a million messages, like 10,000 work anniversary things. I'm like, what? So, and mixed in there were a few real messages. I was like, oh my goodness, I should probably check this more often and post on here. And now like it has a timeline like everything else does now. which I didn't have the last time I logged into LinkedIn. So
I do not use it at this time. I'm on it, but I'm not going to pretend it's a part of my business plan right now. I haven't quite figured out who my audience is. On YouTube, it's first-time homebuyers. On Instagram, it's other real estate agents and people in Arlington. On LinkedIn, I'm not sure what would get the best engagement. So sometimes I log in every so often to see what's going on, but I haven't quite understood how to best use that platform.
Their platform's really changing, and so I see from the company I work for that you can put things out there and the metrics, you can really follow what's going on, and you all are really good at what you do. I think to some degree it's not become Facebook, but it's becoming a little more social. And I think for real estate agents, it really then gets the message out.
Yeah, good point.
One other thing. Have you guys ever heard of LinkedIn Sales Navigator? Yeah. So I went to an event. I'm like every time there's an event like this, like I think you guys are so smart for being in the room because you never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to learn, right? So I went to an event like 7 a.m. on a Friday a couple months ago, and the guy that was presenting was teaching about how to leverage LinkedIn in your business. There is no question, zero question, that there is a significant opportunity there. I bought the software that they recommended, and then I failed to execute the way that I intended to. But what's cool, you can actually take a list of specific types of people. So if you know that you want to sell to dentists, right, you can pull a list from there and then you can message them directly. So it's a upgraded version of LinkedIn, and I do think that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. I just don't leverage it the way that I could be leveraging it right now.
Cool. Who else? Yep.
Can you speak a little bit about your social media budget? How much money are you guys actually putting behind some of the ads? Because I see, Kerry, I see a lot of your ads on my Facebook. So I'm just curious on what your spend is on that and what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I'll start off and just I'm full transparency. Like if you DM me on Instagram, I reply to every single DM and share as much as I know. On the last video, I was like on a balcony, and then I kind of cloned myself, and then the beat dropped, and then you're inside the condo. Anyways, that was $500 to make the video. It was 200 on YouTube to boost it to 4,700 people in Arlington and Alexandria, and then it was another 250 on Facebook to show it to 20,000 people. And Facebook's gotten kind of they haven't gotten weird. I guess they're following the rules with fair housing and who you can show it to and who you can't show it to. So people outside of where I wanted to see it saw it, but all in all, it was around $800 to $1,000 for a 4K professional video and 25,000 views.
for us, it varies on the post. If I think it's content that came out really well, then I'll, spend a lot more. I'm only spending money on Instagram boosting right now. I've done 2 videos on YouTube. All our videos on YouTube also, but I've only boosted 2 on YouTube. Huh? Yeah? Oh, nice. Thank you. One of my 55, I think. But the like on YouTube for our 2 like my personal profile commercial and then our team commercial. I think our team commercial is up to 400,000 views, and then my profile is like 200,000, and that was like spending up to $20 a day. Never really spends the full 20, but and then on Instagram, for like a really, really good video and we like how it came out, I'll spend $2,000-$3,000 boosting it, and that'll give me like 50,000 views on Instagram. So, but usually it's like we'll spend $200 to $800 per boost on Instagram.
Yeah, and I think the big thing to look at is just how cheap it is compared to some other forms of media and advertising. So like Facebook stories are under $10 a CPM. So that means for $10 you're getting in front of 1,000 people.
CPM means?
Cost per impression. So yeah, $10 to get whatever in front of 1,000 people. Compare that to a postcard. 1,000 people would cost you $500. So it's 50x, right? Return on the spend. Plus with that postcard, you don't know who looked at it, who tossed it, unless they call you or go to the link that you put on there. But we haven't really talked much about retargeting ads up here today, but which you can do on I think all of the platforms we've been talking about. But now I can do a branding type video or just awareness or offering some great piece of value, throw that in front of a cold audience. They know me a little bit better. Okay, now my next ad is just going to go to, it allows me to target people that watch 50% or 75% of it, right? So now I'm getting deeper in the cycle. So if you think about it, your follow-up sequence can be automated through ads instead of having phone call 1 2 3 4 5 or email 1 2 3 4 5. It can be a funnel, a sequence of ads getting cheaper each time because the audience is getting smaller. It's just an amazing opportunity that a lot of people aren't fully taking advantage of yet.
There you go. Anyone else? I think we've got, let's do about 3 more questions. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Yeah.
Can you talk about Instagram stories versus posts? And I know all of you guys do both. This is more specifically, when you post an Instagram story, it's 24 hours. Are you guys saving those to your story highlights? And why or why not?
Mine is set to like auto save on Instagram and on my camera roll because I'll reuse ones that worked well, and then if it really worked well, I might add it to the highlights later. I guess that's my answer.
Dan, you should talk about how you leverage IGTV.
How do I do that?
We haven't really talked about IGTV today, and one of the things when you have a longer post, Instagram algorithm is favoring boosting the video, right? So if you don't want to put a lot of money behind your posts, but you want it to get to more people, a really good way to do it is IGTV.
Yeah, and I guess the reach is better there organically because Instagram wants to, I think, steal people from the YouTube platform, and they want to become the conversation starter and the living room, agenda, right? So if you make your videos over a minute, they have to be over a minute, and I think the limit for like non-influencer types, I think is 10 minutes. I'm not 100% sure of that, but so if you make them like a minute to 10 minutes long, and I would stick more in that 2-3 minute, but depends on the topic. You can post it in the IGTV section, but it will show up as a preview, in your homepage and the feed, and it's going to get more engagement and get in front of more people, I think, and have seen than just posting the 60-second or under square video. And the IGTV is, it's easy to do. One easy trick is to go live on Instagram because now it's in that 9:16, the vertical format, and save your live, and then later on throw a picture on top of it on the front and make that your IGTV post.
Does anyone have a follow-up question to that? Because I know that's a little complicated. Go ahead.
So when you post on Instagram, is it important to have a hashtag or something that?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, the hashtags matter. And you can see the analytics on it, which is really cool. If you get a business account, so I don't know if that's what you were asking earlier, PJ, about should your personal account be a business account. You may have been getting that at that, and there's like a setting in Instagram where the account can be a personal account, a creator account, and a business account. And I would say make your personal account a business account type, because now you can promote posts, you can run ads to it, and you get a lot more analytics. If you just say personal on it, like you can't run ads to it. I think you guys both are business accounts on your personal, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, anything to add on hashtags?
Not being covered most of the. I mean,
I have something to say on hashtags. Don't go for a hashtag that's the largest hashtag you can find. So trying to win in real estate, like I can't figure out how to win in real estate, and it irritates me. Honestly, I'm like, how am I not winning at some of these bigger hashtags? But I guess the key is start small. Start with a hashtag that's not so big that you can try and get to the discover page. And when you get to the discover page, more people are going to see it because you're featured in that hashtag category. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. cool.
All right, I'll let a few more questions. What we're going to do is we're going to allow one person to answer so we get more questions. We'll do 5 more questions. You had one?
Yes. So, how do you guys leverage the data that you guys get from social media? Do you use the data at all in a way of targeting, geofencing, pixel marketing through your social media pages? When somebody visits, your Facebook page, do you get data from Facebook? Is that something you utilize analytics-wise for leads?
The most amount of data I use is geo farming for Instagram sponsored posts and YouTube and Facebook videos. So I want everyone in the city of Alexandria to see the new listing that I have in the city of Alexandria. I am not a big retargeter. I've never bought a Suit Supply suit because it showed up on the sidebar of a Yahoo homepage. I'm just gonna buy it because I like them anyways.
Oh my god, I'm the polar opposite. Like, follow me around with shoes that I want, and I am done.
Yeah.
Well, on that note right there, so I think that goes into there's not only just one way to do things, and there's consistency is really, really important. One thing I'll say is interesting, okay? So we own a title company, Allied Title and Escrow. We do a boring title thing in Arlington now, and I started talking about standard versus enhanced policies, and I don't think anyone ever saw it. All right, so we have a guy that works for us named Mike Madigan. Close with Mike and you'll never be Madigan. So he's created he's created a video series of him closing doors for agents that can't do it. He's created a video series of swimming across the Potomac to provide stuff. And we've had lots of agents reach out to us and say, that's hilarious, I want to be in your next video. So anyway, point is interesting. What do you guys think on an interesting level, in terms of how important that is?
So how many of you guys saw our Amazon video where we dressed up as reindeer and Mrs. Claus and anybody? Like, not that many of you. Wow. Okay. So apparently it wasn't interesting. Never mind. That video has like 30,000 views, and we actually used it to geofence Amazon's headquarters in Seattle. And so we did 3 different messages. We took a song and we redid the words, and we did one of the messages for the Amazon employees that are in Seattle that are relocating here, one of the messages for the people who are here that need to be aware that Amazon is coming, and we did it last Christmas, and we did it to Amazon is coming to town instead of Santa Claus is coming to town. And then we did another one as a recruiting message. We shot those all in probably an hour and a half. And it was very well received. We have had people from Amazon that have seen it, right? And then when they're doing research in the area, they keep seeing us. So I feel like interesting video is hard to do, and you have to have a plan, and it's a lot easier if you have props. If you guys see my ads, you see me throwing around balls or a key or like something random, it just makes it easier to get people's attention. So the more you can be interesting and avoid, like, I think high production video has its place, but a lot of you sitting in the crowd today are not going to spend the money on that right now in your careers. Am I right? So you have to figure out how to be interesting, throwing around something random and telling a story instead of with an entire video crew. And the other mistake, I think, like, you talking isn't interesting. So a solo agent doing a whole video about them, like, people are not likely to be that interested in your story. If you dressed up in some silly costume and like tied it to that, a lot more people would watch it. How many of you guys saw a video where I had a baby in my hand when I'm at a conference and I'm speaking? Like, I would fly with the baby, and then what I would do is sometimes the baby would be sleeping and I'd be able to do whatever Taco was doing without the baby, and then the next time I'd have the baby. 75% more people watched when I had the baby. So pay attention to what your audience is interested in and give them that.
And I would say all of these people have done an amazing job in the interesting category. Follow them, watch their videos. Couple more questions. Here we go.
So we've talked a lot about the actual production of some of the videos and the content that you're doing. Who manages it? Are you doing it? And if so, how much time per week? Or it sounds like, I'm guessing you have some staff people, and how much time and resources are put against that part of it?
Yeah,
Coming up with the interesting content constantly.
Yeah. That's me, myself, and I. But what I have found is when you engage your audience, they're more likely to interact with the end result. So I put out a video a few months ago where I'm roller skating in a red suit, like the most ridiculous like 1980s condo you've ever seen. And people are like, "Well, how did you come up with that?" Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I didn't come up with it. What I did was I was walking around this property and I had a problem. And the problem was, hey guys, look how terrible this condo is. Like, usually I'm working with like renovated condos. What should I do? So someone was like, do a 1980s dance party, do something else, do this, do that. And then it came down to either Back to the Future theme, riding a bird scooter, or disco like 1980s suit. And so I went with the 1980s suit. And I use that in my personal life too. Like, my girlfriend, she was upset the other last year when I was on my phone a lot for fantasy football. She's like, "Oh, you're always on fantasy football." And I said, "Babe, if I win my fantasy football league, I will take you to Iceland." Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm having them engaged in the process, so they're more likely to be happy about the end result. And those same people that were voting in that post of like, "Hey, what video should you do?" Those were the same people that were commenting. And if you're wondering, I did not win my fantasy football league, but I still took her to Iceland.
Nice. Who else?
So from the HyperFast Agent Instagram account, there are a few questions, but I'll just shoot one out. Jose asks, how do you create a target custom audience in your Facebook ads?
It's a little bit harder. They've made the rules differently, and I personally think the pendulum swung too far. Like if I want to send an ad to everybody in the in this zip code or a mile from here, like I don't think that's a fair housing issue. Like if I wanted to direct mail people within a mile of here, the postal office isn't going to make me direct mail a 15-mile radius, right? But now on Facebook, they want me to, on Geo to 15-mile minimum radius. So I think it's gone a little too far, and sometimes the custom audiences now are like Facebook wants to know the how that was made, right? So they want to know that it was made in a pure way that doesn't violate it. So you have to be cognizant of that. Make sure you're not violating any, fair housing, privacy acts, all of that. But our custom audiences are typically made from people that have already engaged with us. So when they fill out, like when I talked earlier about if they download a buyer form or download a seller form, they give us their email. We'll make a retargeting ad for everybody that downloaded that form that gave us an email. So we're going to upload their emails into Facebook. If it matches a Facebook account, like they'll put it in front of them. Now, not everyone, everyone has different email addresses, and it may not match, and so you're not going to get in front of all of them. But typically, our custom audiences are people that have engaged with us, or it's a retargeting ad based on a pixel on our website. The other one that is really easy for everyone to do, custom audience that everyone should do, is your past clients and sphere of influence. So you should upload their emails, and have an ad set that is just, about your next client event, or about, how your year went, or whatever you're doing, right? So you can get in front of your, your existing past clients, database, SOI, all of that. So custom audiences, I think in the last year, some people think you can't do them anymore just because some of the rules around have changed. That's not true. You still can. You just have to do it in ways that are compliant. But they definitely are very, very effective.
Awesome. Last question, and if you have more questions, I think one thing that's great about this group is they're collaborative. They're willing to share. Are people going to be sticking around, I assume, and talking for a little bit?
Yeah.
So, all right, last question. Who is it? All right, what do you got?
I'll take it. So, we spoke a lot about branding, but what about lead genning on social media? Are you guys coaching your agents to DM people who are interacting with you? Do you guys have a script that you use, or do you stay away from that?
So you're saying people who comment, are we engaging them?
Right, people who comment or interact with your any social media posts. Are you then DMing them to see if they are interested in coming in for a consultation?
I would like to be able to say yes. I think all of our individual agents are, but when it comes to our team account, we don't have a great process set up. If someone doesn't DM us or take action and they're making a statement about it, if it's something that we see where we're like, okay, or our social media coordinator would see that, she might then have the inside sales agents follow up. For everybody out there that's just themselves, do I encourage you to do that? Absolutely, yes. It makes sense to try and take any conversation you can to the next step, to the next level. And so the key that I believe is important for all of you to do more business from social is creating face-to-face meetings. You have to get good at doing that, because if you only give up all the information and have the conversation online and you never get in front of the person, there aren't too many houses sold without getting together, right? So let that be your focus. Don't let the conversation go too long so that you don't have a compelling reason to get in front of them.
Awesome. So, one thing you'll probably notice is some people use big budgets. Some people did it all themselves. Some people have their own videographer studio, but at the end of the day, they're all doing it. So that's my last point I was saying. Make sure you get out there and you do. People will be around. They actually did not ask me to say this, but I really believe, like, a lot of my learnings have come from being around smart people and just being open to that. You guys coach, right? You want to speak to that at all? Just in case people are interested in learning more?
Well, let me ask you guys, how many of you came to the HyperFast Agent event? Only a handful. A lot of fans in the back. Thank you guys. So this year we had Ryan Serhant. Last year we had Grant Cardone. Our lives changed because of being in rooms like this, right? Because of who we surrounded ourselves with, and we're really passionate about bringing that to Washington, D.C. When we looked at who comes here from a real estate perspective and how they add value to the real estate community, I think people locally add value to each other. I love real producers. I think Kristen Brindley's amazing. How many of you guys know real producers, right? Like, incredible. So for me, I wanted to have us bring in people from the outside and change the caliber of people we were getting in a room and learn from industry, not only industry experts, but also digital marketing experts, like people who have just been at the top of their field. We brought Billie Jean last year because of that. So we're continually trying to do that. And from a HyperFast agent perspective, I'm going to let Dan talk a little bit about how we do that. It's kind of his baby.
Yeah, so we've got a number of different ways to connect and help agents. If you want to learn more about it, you can come talk to me after the event, or go to hyperfastagent.com. We've got a ton of stuff there, blogs, podcasts, and then information about our different coaching programs. But I'd love to connect with any of you if you want more help on learning about our events, our programs, or just have a question.
So everyone's busy. Thank you for being here. How about a round of applause for these guys? All right, really appreciate your guys' time. Thanks a lot.
And go see the house and please sell it.
Thank you. Good stuff. Good work. My thoughts all the way across. Good work. Appreciate it, boys, girls.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please